Hello guys, and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be looking at Slender. If you've been around on Reddit lately, it seems like a very popular topic. I have to give you some background though. I mean, this is like a survival horror, first-person adventure, but if you're not familiar with the mythos that this game is about, it probably won't make a lot of sense. And I'm not really the best probably to explain this because this isn't really my thing. I don't know a ton about it, but I did do a little bit of research on it. This is following this creature, supernatural type thing called Slender Man, who popped up on Something Awful forums in a thread about creating supernatural images. The basic deal is he's like a 6 to 15 foot tall, what looks like a normal man, but with no facial features, and he can sometimes produce tendrils out of his back, and he can also teleport, or there's like a lot of different competing ideologies about what exactly his deal is, but he can also charm children, he can subconsciously creep into your head. And the story is that he's been around for thousands of years, you know, supernaturally stalking humans since the dawn of time, and they sort of like superimposed him into a bunch of stuff that looks like it was like from Germany back in the day and from Egypt. So he's I guess a pretty creepy looking guy. Yeah, I mean they call it creepypasta. I can't say that I find him particularly terrifying as a figure. I mean, I do like my horror stuff occasionally, in small-ish doses, and I think probably the epitome of horror is generally the Alien series, but that's me. There's a lot of man-made horror, and not that Alien isn't man-made, but it's like, it's sort of reaching beyond the scope of what we deal with towards something that could be naturally occurring, although Prometheus did some work to maybe undo that theory. I don't know, it's sort of a different experience when you're dealing with something that's supernatural versus could be natural, even though we don't exactly know. So I should probably talk about the game a little bit, since we've been playing it already for a little bit too. So I'm supposed to be finding 8 pages. I don't know what the pages are about or what the point of them is, but I am aware that at any point Slender Man could attack, and apparently if you look at him for too long you will die. So that's a reasonably typical horror trope. Don't look at the thing, you'll lose your mind, you'll die, whatever it is. I imagine if he takes me by surprise, this could be a little scary, but if I can see him coming from a while away, like, I don't think it'll be particularly creepy. If he could be, like, right outside my field of vision and then pops in, that would probably do it. Oh yeah, I can dash a little bit. I forgot. I have a stamina meter, apparently, that if I dash too much, it'll get reduced. Pretty sure there should be a page in here somewhere. Wherever this building is. Maybe I'll just go look over here for a while. But it was really interesting reading about this stuff, all the different theories and all the pictures that people have made to further this idea. It's really kind of cool, actually, how people seem to get into this like cooperative, let's make up stuff thing. Don't look where it takes you. Alright, I've got a page. Oh, I think I hear a sound now. Yeah, it sounds like something's crashing. I had to read the Slenderman wiki, of course, saying stuff like how he will take his victims and impale them on tree limbs, and then take all of their organs out while they're still alive and put them in sacks, and then put them back into their body cavity. Or that a lot of times fire will accompany him, and most of the time it's to destroy whatever evidence that there might be that he's been around. And then there's different theories that he can slender walk. I mean, some of the names that people come up for this stuff are kind of ridiculous, but the idea being that he can, like, quantum shift, that he can exist in all places at once. Is that him over there? Oh yeah, that's totally him. I should probably not look at him then. But he can exist in all places at once, and then pick the place that he needs to manifest to accomplish whatever his goal is. And his goal seems to be to abduct children and mutilate them. Sort of an interesting goal. I mean, it doesn't seem like something that you could really come up with a lot of backstory to why someone would want to do that, other than to just be creepy. It seems like the further away I go from where he was, the less that booming sound happens off in the distance, so that's good. I guess it's sort of like your Silent Hill radio or something. Well, it seems like it's getting closer again. Interesting correlation, and I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I did notice the character Hazama from Blaze Blue, like, dead on mimics a lot of the attributes of Slender Man. He's got this whole quantum shifting deal, he's got, like, these tendrils which take the form of snakes. He wears a suit, he's surprisingly charismatic, he lures people, you know, into a false sense of security. I don't know. I don't know if that means anything, if maybe the Blaze Blue dudes were influenced by this mythos. I don't think it's been around for particularly long. From what I could tell, like, the earliest date that I saw was like 2009, which is actually way sooner than I figured, because I thought I've heard about stuff to do with Slender Man even earlier than that, but maybe I'm wrong. And they show images of him, like, kind of sketchy looking ones, where it almost looks like he has wings, but those are apparently his tendrils that can come out of his back. And it's unknown exactly how many of those he can have at a given moment. It seems like he can shift and morph. What I would also liken him to a little bit is like the Cenobites from Hellraiser. They seem to have a lot of similar qualities as well. And I don't know what sort of level of influences that whoever started the Slender Man deal, what he had. But I imagine Hellraiser was a pretty pervasive horror movie in like the 80s, so it's quite possible. That's actually another one, aside from Alien. I really do like the Hellraiser series. I think that's particularly well done. And it's got some really outstanding art direction and really good special effects and everything, and I find that it really just sort of pulls me into their vision of horror really well. Yeah, so Alien, Hellraiser, probably two of my favorites. I'm sure if I go on for a while longer I can come up with a few others. But I've just never been into like the Jason and the, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. I mean, I get that they're pretty creepy ass things, but they don't pull me in on the same level. I really sort of resonate more to the supernatural, but like paranormal to a higher level, like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. Like galactic level horror, stuff that has to do with realms of physics we don't understand, and just like that we're not even clued into like the very most basics of what is going on in these situations. I've been alive for an awfully long time. It seems like this thing is not chasing after me very well. I'm also quite bad at navigating these twisty-turny forests. I think pretty much every horror game that I've ever played that had a forest, I walked in circles for an hour and a half until something came and ate my head. I must note that the graphics in this are actually quite good. I wasn't expecting much, but if you look up, like, the tree limbs, they look pretty damn accurate. I mean, I'm not going to say that they're photorealistic or anything, but they definitely are above average. The texture on the tree bark, though, is a little bit repetitive, unfortunately. Like, you can see that one spot there, that white spot with the little brown spot in the center. It's actually, like, the same exact one. So, would have been cool if there was a little bit more diversity in that, but the diversity in the models themselves is really well done. And the light, shadow decaling, that whole deal is pretty well done as well. Thinking about running out of stamina now, which is probably bad. Should probably walk a little bit more. I'm told that the flashlight will eventually run out of batteries, but if I turn the flashlight off, can't see much of anything. Like, you get a little bit of night vision after a moment or two, but it's not really enough to see where you're going. That's a pretty cool looking tree right there. You know, I'm actually a little surprised. I wasn't expecting it, but after a few minutes of dealing with this, I'm starting to feel the tension a little bit. I've seen a couple other people play around in this with YouTube, and one guy in particular who, oh, there he is, who loves to just scream his ass off, and I'm not that kind of YouTuber. I'm not about to just start yelling at the top of my lungs and break your speakers and break your eardrums and all that shit. I can be scared in videos. It's happened before. It'll probably happen again. But I'm not probably going to scream. That's just acting. I'm not that kind of guy. In fact, I've never really been into acting in any way. It's always been very embarrassing to me, the idea of acting for people, that you're sort of just like making up a version of yourself that's completely fake. And there's another level of that in salesmanship that I don't find to be as superficial, but just acting for acting's sake. Like, I grant that it's a totally legitimate thing to do, but it's just not for me. And I'm not about to fake a persona for you guys on YouTube. I don't see a point in that. I think there's hopefully enough substance to my actual personality that I can, you know, provide some entertainment and the occasional laugh, and generally just good insight. Like, if I had to peg myself as a type of YouTuber, I would say I'm probably the more reserved, insightful type that would rather point out stuff than make an emotional appeal and try to get you to, you know, laugh along with me because I'm just acting like an ass. But I will grant that there's, of course, going to be a moment or two of that as well. Nobody's all black and white in one direction or the other. No, 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 no. Oh, it's no, no, cat. Oh, I hear a little bit of ambience creeping in. I guess the idea is as you get more and more of these pages, the tension will increase, and I guess by the end of this, he'll probably be like right on top of you, chasing you. Which is a pretty good framing for a horror setup, I won't deny that. I do feel like I've been wandering around in these trees for way longer than I probably should have. But like I said before, that's just my tendency to get really lost with this when there's like no frame of reference as to where I'm going. At least there's fences, though, to wall me in, because they could have gone one step further and just left this to be like a procedurally generated forest that goes as long as you feel like walking in one direction. That would have been the end of this video pretty quickly. So I want to say, like, I totally see where people would find this to be a pretty terrifying game. I'm not predisposed to get... I mean, I already just went over this, but I'm not predisposed to get overly emotional on camera for you. I just don't tend to get scared to that degree. I mean, I do definitely get scared, and I'll say playing Dead Space 1, I couldn't do it by myself. It was too much for me. But I'll shut down before I'll keep pushing myself through it. Like, I would rather just walk away than know that I'm terrified and just keep going, because I don't... It's sort of masochism at that point. I don't really find enjoyment in that. And Doom 3 is another one, and I think I've gotten over it a little bit because of the technology level. Like, when it was new, the technology was so immersive and so comprehensive and so just really real looking that it totally pulled me in a way that I don't think a lot of games have since then. But everything seemed really, like, heavy and had this sense of weight to it. Of course, until you killed it, and then it sort of turned into, like, vapor, which I don't quite understand. But it really pulled me in, and it was really terrifying, and I couldn't really go past a certain point in that game. I don't know why. But then going back to it a few years later, I started to, like, see the technology, like, age in front of my eyes, and then stuff that seemed really realistic, or naturalistic, I should say, didn't come across that way quite as much. And I was able to tolerate it on a different level. Like, I saw it as computer-generated instead of... And I know it's stupid to say, but instead of real. Always watches, no eyes. Okay. So, in horror games, more than a lot of games, I think graphics are actually really important to lure in the player because immersion is everything. If you don't feel like this, whatever it is that's chasing you is really going to get you, it really kind of defeats the point. I mean, I won't say that there can't be a different solution to it. Okay, that actually did creep me out quite a bit. I was only not scared for so long because it was sort of like self-reinforcing that I was walking and nothing was really happening. But then out of nowhere, with like absolutely no warning, a little sound goes done, and then your viewpoint just shifts and you lose control, and then it's over. So I mean, it's a cheap jump scare, granted. I'm not going to say that it's like they built up a lot of psychological like dissonance in my head or anything over it. It was just, you're going, you're going, you're going, you're dead. And I don't feel like I really did anything to cause it. In fact, I was actively going away from it every chance I could get. And we're just going to see if standing here for a moment is going to kill me as well. But, you know, kind of an asshole move. The game kills me and then dropped me off at the desktop. Like, okay, well, I was still recording, but no, I guess I got to start it over now. So that's kind of what Slender's about. I've got, what was that, 4 out of 8 pages, so I got half of them. I'm still pretty certain that there was a page inside of that building somewhere. And I'm sure you guys will find it. I don't know what the ending of it is if you get all the pages. I imagine probably something pretty cool happens. But maybe I'll let you guys be the ones to figure that out. But I hope you enjoyed my horror rant, and it went on for quite a while, but it's something I should probably have talked about a while ago, because I do really like some horror games. It's just they have to do them right. And jump scares are fine every now and then, but you don't want to make too much of a habit of letting that be what defines horror for you. I don't think that's meaningful. Well, I guess horror is different things to different people. When I look at it, I sort of imagine that it is something that will just like haunt your dreams and just fucking terrify you for a long time. Jump scares, you can usually get over them quickly. I don't know, it depends what kind of jump scare it is. If it's something that you're afraid you're going to see around every corner, I guess that could be a little bit worse than, you know, somebody jumps in front of you and goes, boo! I mean, that's nothing that really scary inherently about that. You're just surprised. So there's a different level of how much you let it creep into your mind as to how far it will go on to affect you as time goes on. So I will wrap things up around here. This has been Slender. It's a free download. I'll include the link in the description as always. Make sure you check it out if you're into this kind of thing. Of course, if you're terrified by horror games, I would recommend probably not checking it out. But still, reasonably well done, and I have to give props where props are due, and props are due here. So as always, head on over to facebook.com/indieimpressions, where I post every night's video. Feel free to leave comments. You know, do what you gotta do. Say hi to me. We do contests, there's giveaways occasionally, and also don't forget to check out Twitter, at @IndieImpression or at RockLeeSmile. That's the one for the show and my personal one. Feel free to send me any kind of game requests if you want me to play a certain one you don't see on my channel yet, or even, you know, if you just want to talk about one that I should revisit or something. That's another thing I'm planning to do in the future, go back to some of these games that have been extra cool. And see how they've progressed, because a lot of them are betas or alphas or, you know, just unfinished, and the developers are always adding cool new stuff to them, so definitely worth relooking at stuff that is still evolving. But that will do it for today's episode. Thank you very much for watching, and make sure you come back tomorrow, where we'll have another. Have a great night, guys. Don't be too scared of the dark. Later.